All right, so now that you've gotten some practice with finding z-scores when you're given an area to the left, we want to talk about what happens when you're given an area to the right or even an area in between. The key thing for you to remember is if you're going to use the standard normal table, you have to convert what you're given to an area left. Now, when what you're given is an area to the right, that's pretty simple. We know that we can change the direction of the area by just subtracting from 1. And that's exactly what you're seeing happen in the second example. So, when I ran through the problem, again, I noticed I was looking for a z-score, right? Therefore, that's what my answer is going to look like. But I was given an area of 20% to the right of my z-score. So as soon as I see that, I want to remind myself if I'm going to go to my table, I must have an area to the left. And so you'll notice the very next thing that I did here was make that switch. I said, well, if 0.20 is to the right, then that means 0.80 would be to the left. And notice I worked the entire problem in terms of the area to the left, not the area to the right. At this point, it becomes just like the first example. When I convert it to area left, I note it is more than half. It's got about 80% to its left, so that means it's a positive z-score. I went to my table looking for an area to the left of 0.80. Now, the other thing you'll notice here is my exact area was not there. Not every possible area is going to be in here. So what I do in that case, when my exact area is not there, I get as close as I can. So the closest area to 0.80 is 0.7995. And that's the best I can do as far as getting close to the area of 0.80. So I use that closest area. And then the row and the column gave me a z-score of 0.8 and 4 in the hundreds place. All right. Now, if you're using StatCrunch, then instead of having to subtract from 1, you will just need to change the direction of your area. All right, so if I were going to do this one in StatCrunch, I would go to my normal calculator. I would leave it with mean 0, standard deviation 1, because I'm looking for z. But when the area given is to the right, I'm going to change from less than to greater than. And then I'm going to remember that area always goes in the box to the right-hand side of the equal sign. And since I converted this to an area right, I'm going to put in the area right that was given at 0.20. And then when I hit compute in that z-score box, again, if I round to 2 decimal places, same thing I saw in my table, which was 0.84. All right, so let's look at one from the practice again, just to make sure we're clear on how to approach these things. So this is one of your practice problems. And in this case, you are given a graph where you're shown the area to the right. Right, so I'm given a graph right here, and what I want to note is I'm given an area, that's for starters, but more specifically, I am given an area to the right. And the question says find the z-score that corresponds. All right, so again, what I'm looking at here is my standard normal curve with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. And I am given an area to the right of 0.0571. All right, so this is my question, and I'm trying to figure out what z-score would correspond. So the first thing I'm going to do when I'm given an area to the right is I'm going to switch it around and make it an area to the left by subtracting that area to the right from 1. So this means instead of using an area of 0.0571 to find the z-score, I'm going to use the area to the left, which would be 0.9429. Now, I can see from the picture this should be a positive z-score because we're above 0. I can also now see that from the area to the left, which is well over 0.5, that I'm in the upper region of the curve and I'm looking for a positive z-score. So I'm going to go to my table. I'm going to look for an area of 0.9429, or as close as I can get. All right, again, these are starting small, in this case at 0.5 because we're at 0, and then increasing as we move along. So again, what I'm looking for is 0.9429. So here's where we get to 0.90. All right, increasing 0.91, 92, 93. I hit 0.94 right in here, 0.9406. And if I keep moving along, then I see the area to the left that I want, which is 0.9429. And then reading off the z-score, this would correspond to a z-score of 1.58. So the answer to my question here, the z-score that corresponds to the given area to the right is a z-score of positive 1.58. And again, if I want to use StatCrunch for this, then I would make sure that I've converted to an area right, that I've made this greater than, and that I put in the area to the right of that equal sign. And because I switched this to greater than, I can put in the area to the right at 0.0571 and then round it to 2 decimal places. There's my z-score of 1.58. All right, so now I want you to go back into your practice problems, go through and work questions where the area given is an area to the right, and use one of these two methods to find the corresponding z-score.